Hello, everybody. This is Joel Medina, and we're going to start the weekly outlook for GJ or GBPJPY and gold. This is Forex. This is a Forex analysis, and this is just my opinion. You should not be taking trades or making decisions based on them. I'm just sharing what I see, and as a technical trader. And also, I will do a special analysis on crypto because there's something really important happening in the crypto world, at least on a technical level. And I will upload a special crypto analysis later today. So if you like crypto or you have cryptos or whatever, uh, just subscribe, activate notifications, and be aware that I'm gonna be uploading that. So let's start right away with the gold analysis. And as we can see, the monthly chart is quite bullish, even though we have been rejecting for like a week or so already. Yeah. This week was a bearish week. This is a bullish week. But the month is 4 days away from closing. So the question becomes, like always, the same thing I said last week about the weekly. It's same thing now applies for the monthly. Same concept, which is how close are we going to close from the previous levels? Like in this case, the close nearest reference we have is this level here on the weekly, and this level here on the weekly. So, are we going to close the candle around here, which is 1986, around that area, 1985, or around the area of 1910, 1909? Okay, that would be a good question. That would help with the outlook for the next week. But really, right now we just have to look at the weekly, and we can see that we closed the bullish candle nearby the closure of previous level when you look left, which is something I shared on the weekly outlook from last week. So right now this is an important level, and there's a high probability. And right now the structure is still bullish, okay, but there is a high probability that if price really wants to continue going up, that we first have another visit down to any levels down below here, even like 1931. Actually, we're gonna find that out on a lower time frame. But so far, bullish structure on the weekly, and the daily also quite bullish. Not only that, but if you remember the weekly outlook from last week, I mentioned that here we didn't have a clear path because we were forming this consolidation, but now we have a clear one, right? We have a clear intention, at least, based on the structure. So this is a probabilities based game, and we only have to react to the levels. We don't have to predict. So that's kind of like a thing that I always say in every single analysis. Why do I say that? Because now we have a bullish daily structure, which is sacred, let's say, for price. We have a bullish weekly structure, we have a bullish monthly structure, and we have a bullish daily structure. What that means is that if we're gonna correct, number one, we have enough space to correct this bullish push on the daily structure. What that means is that we might see the 4 hour flipping bearish if we're gonna really correct. Okay, so we might start to see the 4 hour flipping bearish. So we might be sales biased on in the short term, but I would advise for any new trader to remain with the higher time frame bias. Meaning, if you can, as long as you remain above all of these levels, especially above 1921, which is the base of the structured push of the impulse, try to look for only for buys. Okay, if you're new and you're just starting to trade now, you're learning, I would advise, that would be what I would tell anybody learning, which is remain, keep yourself trading with the higher time frame bias. In this case, it is bullish. So above 1922, 1921, and let's say 1922, and even here, this is the base of the whole thing. The base is 1915, I think it is, which, yeah. So anything above 1915, still is a structure bullish. Um, yeah, it is a bullish structure. So any buy opportunity presented with a good formation of a support should be a good probability based trade. Okay. Now 4 hour might flip in the on our way to correcting that daily structure. So short term sales are not a bad idea. Like I said, if you are a trader that is that already knows or has been back testing enough to know when and where to place your sales against the higher time frames, then you should be taking your trades because it makes sense, right? That if we're gonna correct this, that we might visit down to here to 1946 or even 1940s. But now below 1940, that would be a deep retrace, a deep correction, and that would be a little bit of let's say dangerous area below here. So just be careful, but we can definitely still correct all of this and still remain bullish on the daily structure. So that's important. I would advise to try to go with buy orders as much as possible. As I'm recording, this is 7:28 p.m. March 27th, 2022, and you can see how we already closed the 1 hour candle like this, which actually would prompt to put yeah, probably this is a could be a fake right closure and then a continuation going down, because this is a really important level here that we had on the 1 hour formation. As you can see, many big wicks here, another rejection here, all of them rejections of the structure at the same time, and this one already tried again and closed below. So maybe this is the part where we flip the structure to continue correcting, but we have to just wait for it. I would, like I said, I would advise for buys, like potential buys. If we have a kind of closure above here, after all of this rejection, becomes a higher probability up to go all the way up to here if we start breaking above here, because now we had like all of this attempts. Same thing goes for the sales, right? For sales, I would say that maybe below here for scalpers, from here to here, we have a nice space to go from maybe 1951 all the way down to 1949. And even lower, if we start breaking down, now we have like, yeah, we have all of that space, but it's not so, like I mentioned, it is better if it would be a formation for the continuation going up. So any place where you see a really good level that is being rejected as a support should be a good opportunity to buy because the structure is bullish. Okay, so that's gold. Outlook, daily structure bullish, potentials visit down to 1947, 1939, 1940 area, or even down here to 1930, and still even 1921, and still would not break daily structure bullish, being bullish. Okay, now if we break below there, obviously we would be flipping the higher time frame sentiment, and then we would go more for sales than buys. So that would be based on the technicals. As always, just wait for the levels to be reached, wait for confirmations, wait for higher volume time frame, higher volume sessions, and then decisions should become easier. The GBPJPY is quite easy to read. It's, if you look at the month of the weekly outlook we had last week, you will notice that it became true what we were expecting about the monthly candle. I think I will be able to place a link to the weekly outlook from last week up here to your right maybe, and that way you can see where we were saying that we were like around here when we were starting the week, that there was a really high probability that we were gonna break this finally, which 158 is a really important level on GJ, historical level. But because of this week that was being formed and this body was so solid, there was such a high probability that that was gonna happen, and obviously that's what happened. This, oh yeah, this is where we were starting the weekly outlook. Same thing, and just happened. Now, right now we are at a level on the weekly that is really important. Not only that, we have many structure closures of the weekly, especially this and this one, and weeks that came all the way up. But the interesting thing that I see here is that the level 162 specifically You see, this is a price zone. Okay, so this is a price zone 162 as an important level, and we haven't tapped there yet. So there's a high probability in my eyes, based on previous behavior, that we before we reject this zone, that we at least tap 162 area, or all the way up to 162 point, even 400, like 300 and something. You see, the wicks came all the way up here for some reason before even rejecting even the structure. So there's a high probability, and we haven't tapped there yet. So there's a really high probability. You see, this is 162 up here, and 162 300 is even higher, like around here. So there's a high probability that before we reject this area, that we maybe visit up here before falling, if we're gonna really fall. But it's simple. We just have to keep it simple. It's bullish. The structure is bullish. Weekly is bullish. Daily is bullish. 4 hours bullish. So what that means is anything that looks like buys should have a higher probability than sells, at least on GJ. Okay, so right now we have a 1 hour kind of coming down, but that's the only one kind of bearish. Maybe 30-minute is, yeah, it's just consolidating at this point. 1 hour is the only one looking like it's coming down, but the 4 hour is still quite bullish, and this might even become like a support. It really depends on disclosure. So this body closing like up here, we could expect that visit up here to the structure, and even who knows, during the week we come all the way up here before rejecting, or even continuing going up. Now if we flip this, there's a quite an interesting sell here, because even though we are bullish, and like I said on the previous on gold, try to remain and keep it bullish, but there's actually a really nice opportunity for sales as scalpers as we break below this zone here, because it's such a strong zone that there's a high probability that below here we have a nice drop, from here to this week as a scalper, 160.700, and then even below here to this body closures at 160.500. So just keep that in mind. Still, the main bias should be buys, and it should be favorable to go with the buy orders. Above, what is this? You see this? This is a really strong level, and we even tapped here right now. So let's say that above 161.170 should be a nice setup for continuing going up, or even here. We already have a closure here on the 30-minute. So this could be the short-term resistance that if we break and close above here on the 30-minute, we could actually fill this week and even continue to this next week. And who knows if we actually continue up. So buy should be the preference, let's say, with GJ so far. If we break and close below here for scalpers, then this is tricky because you have the level right there. Maybe below here, you go for this one maybe. So yeah, that's the short term. And the higher time frame, I already said we are bullish and potential revisit up here before rejecting. If we reject from here, it would be a double top rejection of the 4 hour structure. That's typically a strong rejection, indication that maybe we might reject from here, but we have to wait for that to happen. So I hope that you like this analysis. If you liked it, just give it a like, subscribe, and we're gonna be uploading the crypto analysis, so also keep an eye for that. I'll see you later. This is Joel Medina. I'll see you maybe in a live stream or in a next video. Bye bye.